Hello learner, welcome to Manifested e-learning platform. My name is F.A.M. Lingwiri and I am a practitioner within the financial services industry in Kenya. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to discuss about the two-stage DDM right here. In our previous lesson, we had introduced the single-stage DDM, and just by checking this tab down over here, I can demonstrate to you how different the single-stage DDM is from the two-stage DDM. We provided the assumptions of the single-stage DDM, and we said that the single-stage DDM will continue like the growth rate in dividends will continue into the foreseeable future. Unlike the single-stage DDM, the two-stage DDM has got two stages of growth. As you can be able to see on this graph over here, the first dividend growth rate grows at 10%, and then it declines suddenly to 4%. That is, the dividend growth rate declines to 4% into the foreseeable future, period 9, 10, 11, and so on and so forth like that. So this model is based on certain assumptions. The first assumption is that the firm is expected to grow at a higher growth rate in the first period. So you can see the growth rate over here is higher as compared to the second stage growth rate. Assumption number 2, the growth rate will drop at the end of the first period to stable growth rate. So this is the first period right over here. I can be able to probably denote that using maybe colors there. So if I use the tabs or my keyboard over here, you can see I can be able to click on home over here, H. So what I did first is that I pressed Alt, then I went to H, then I'm going to H, and then now I can be able to see that FC represents this color right over here like that. So I'm not interested in highlighting the color, or I could be able to decide to select H over here. So let's select H. So I've selected H, and then it gives me the options. Which color do I want over here? So now I come over here and select probably that color over here. That's the first stage of growth. Then we're told in second assumption that the growth rate will drop at the end of the first period to a stable growth rate. So this stable growth rate will continue after period 4. So if I'm to go like that, pardon me, I'm meant to go from this stage over here up to that part right over there, I can be able to give it a different color to signify the stable growth rate there. So Alt, H, then I go to H again and select a color of my liking there. So you can be able to decide to select maybe a different color, maybe green like that. So that's the stable growth rate there. The third assumption right over here indicates that the dividend payout ratio is consistent with the expected growth rate. And the dividend payout ratio is how much a firm pays out in form of dividends. How much it retains is called the retention ratio. So we are saying this assumption that the dividend payout ratio is consistent with the expected growth rate. So on to the model itself right over here, guys. You can see the intrinsic value right over here is given as the summation of the first stage of growth rate over here, indicated by this 10% right over here. And then we'll add the perpetuity component, which is denoted by this part down here, this part here. As you can see, plus this part right over here is indicative of the stage of growth rate over here. So Alt, then we can be able to press H, then we go to FC, pardon me for that, we can go to F, and then C. It selects the color. So which color am I interested in over there? Perhaps I'll give it maybe say maybe a red, color red there. Sorry, I'm just, because I'm using the keyboard, press enter there. So that is the perpetuity component over here. So the best way to explain this is to explain what these components are. So the D naught, in our case over here, we already explained it in the single stage DDM right here. D naught, we had said, is the historical or current dividend. Then we have now G. G is also explained as the dividend growth rate. R is the cost of equity or required return there. So what I can do is that I can just pick those values like that. I copy them, and then I go to the two-stage DDM and perhaps try and apply them over here. Control V. And you can see they've actually been represented right there. So what we haven't explained, we can be able to explain over here. The GS and the GL. So I insert over here, line like that. I also insert again. So to insert, you press Alt N, and then you can insert maybe say a new, not a new table, just a new row over there. Insert, you just insert like that. So we can then proceed on to explain the GS, and then GL. Then we also explain what the N is, because we haven't explained what the N is. You can see the N is given to us right there. N. So because they are all bold, we just highlight and Control B. Put them in bold. We start explaining what GS is. Short-term growth rate. So, short-term growth rate. This is the long-term growth rate. Term growth rate. Then we have N, represents length of high growth period. Length of the high growth period. Period there. As usual, you continuously save your work. Control S. So because we have provided inputs to what we are to use, I can insert over here. I'm aligned to just separate this, you know, the values of what you're trying to explain, as well as the question which you're about to do right over here and the assumptions right here. So there's a question I'm going to read for you right over here, and then we will apply the two-stage model. So Sea Island Recreation currently pays a dividend of 1. The analyst forecasts growth of 10% for the next 3 years, followed by 4% growth rate in perpetuity thereafter. The required return is 12%. Calculate the current value per share. So we need then to identify what inputs we've been given. So solution. Control B, bold as usual. Then we list what we've been given. Have we been given all of these inputs over here? So I just copy that. Control C, come down over here and paste them right down here. Control V. Then we correspondingly put the values beside those inputs. So currently pays a dividend. So the keyword there is currently pays. So we're dealing with D0, not D1. When we use D1 is when we'll be able to expect to see forecasted dividend, future dividend, and so forth there. So we're saying we put that as 1. Then we've also been given the growth rate for the next 3 years. So as you can see, based on our graph right over here, we expect to grow it for 3 periods, and then it declines all of a sudden to say 4% into the foreseeable future. So in the first case, we're saying the forecast growth rate is 10%, 10%, the keyboard there. So this is S1, stage 1. 1 there, so you put Control B. And then required return, which you've been given, is 12%. It's direct there. The growth rate in the short term, we've been given so there's one thing, guys, that I didn't perhaps explain, is this dividend growth rate. So I should delete this one over here because we've got 2 growth rates. We do not have G alone. You can see there's GS over here and there's GS here, there's GML. This should be GL right there. So I change the formula GL correctly over there, and then I put a subscript on it, of course. I put subscript on that value there. So Control 1, and then you click on subscript. You can see it right here, subscript. And I press OK. So it goes down over here as well. This one should also be subscript. This GL should be subscript. So Control 1, subscript down there. So pardon me. So I just delete this part over here. Shift delete. It goes back up. Then I go back now to that column over there like that, and then like that. Then I delete this one over here. So Shift delete. It goes back up like that. So we're saying we have the GS, the GL there. So the GS was now what I was explaining, 10%. 10%. That, pardon me for that. Then the GL represents the growth rate in the long term is 4%. 4%. And then we go number of periods, our N right there, which represents the length of the high growth period. The high growth period right there. So we're saying our N in this case, is going to be the 4%. Number of periods over there in the high growth period is going to be in perpetuity over there. So here we don't need to really put it into perspective, or we don't really need to give a value over there because it's growing indefinitely like that. So to get the V naught, so we just copy here, this value over here, copy, and then we come back down over here because that's the intrinsic value that we're getting, Control V, like that. So what we need to do is that we get this summation part over here. So we have right here plus the D naught. The first the dividend is 1 into or times into 1 plus GS, growth rate in the short term. Growth rate in the short term. So 1 plus, what is the growth rate in the short term? You can see GS is 10%, 0.01. 1 plus that value, let's put the values like that, and then power, Shift 6. You can see on your keyboard Shift and 6. That represents power. Power 1, and then we're discounting that divided by, open the brackets, 1.12. 1 plus 12%. Where are we getting 12%? Because it's 1 plus R right here, guys. Like that. Power, Shift 6, and then power 1. So that represents the first year. Then, because we are saying that these ones, we need to press them in, we are going to do it for 3 years because we've been told the period is going to be 3 years. So we can then insert a new set of brackets there. So like that. So this is, then we open another bracket like that. Then we close this first bracket like that. So that represents the first year. Plus, we can copy this that, Control V there, to represent now. So it's 1, so it's the D naught 1 times 1 plus GS times 1 plus GS power 2. Power 2, and here we have power 2. Power 2, like that. And then we Control V, we paste. Now power 3 for 3 years, guys. Power 3, so delete 3. So, and then this plus over here. So, I first of all close this bracket. Like that. And then, because this first bracket, and then I close this first bracket, and then we've opened it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So you're supposed to close it once. That's the first time we've closed it. This first bracket has been opened, has been closed by that one. This one has been opened, has been closed by that one. This one I need to first of all also delete that so that can be correct. Plus 1 plus G, that one has been opened and is closed by that one. I perhaps need to first of all check D naught times 1 plus GS power 1 over 1 plus R power 1, like that. So this one needs to be closed by 2. Needs to be closed by 2. So that one like that. Over 1 plus this one power 1, yes. So this one is D naught times 1 plus GS power 1 all over, we open the brackets, 1 plus R power 1. We close the bracket like that. So the formula seems to be okay as far as that is concerned. So this is power 1, power 2, power 2, power 3, like that. Then now we are adding this perpetuity component over here. So we repeat this part over here. This part here. Sorry. So we just repeat it, Control V. Over here. So we first of all undo that again, and I can redo it my second time. So it is just going to be given as, we can put plus D naught times, open the brackets, 1 plus GS. Who is our GS? There, you can see it's our GS. Close the brackets. So we need to first of all open twice the brackets so that it can be all inclusive. And then power, shift power. Shift 6, that shows the sign of power, power 1. Then we close the brackets like that. And because we need to open the brackets right here so that we can discount divided by, open the brackets, 1 plus R. 1 plus R, close the brackets, then we close the brackets again. So once we've done that, that is for power 1, guys. So let's repeat the same. Copy plus Control V. Instead of power 1, we have power 2. Power 1, this should be power 2. Over here should be power 2. Shift 6 power 1. And then we copy this now. This is correct, like that. Power 1, yes, so we copy up to there. So copy, and then this part now ceases to exist. And Control V. Now that's power 1, so this is power 2. Power 2, power 2, like that. And then we repeat for power 3. So it accepts the correction, so we correct it over here. And then we open it up over here. So this is power 2, power 2. Yes, so now we copy this, copy. Then we plus Control V. Now instead of saying power 2, we say power 3. Delete power 3, power 3. So what do we get? We get that. So that is this component over here, the summation part. And that's why we're saying it is going to be summation. So we are adding that power 1 up to there. That's for power 1. Then this part represents power 2 up to there. And then this part represents power 3. So we are getting the sum of this value, and like that when we've gotten that. So once we have that, escape, we come back down over here and now compute this perpetuity component. Perpetuity. 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 So this is not the V naught over here, I can delete that. This is the growth, high growth phase. High growth phase. So we can just double click here. That's too wide. So just what we do is that we just open it just marginally small like that. Or we can decide to home and then Alt H, and then we try and text trap. Text trap is W, like that. So high growth phase value. Perpetuity, now we're going to work out this part over here. So it's going to be plus D naught times what? 1 plus growth rate in the short term, the last period, like that. So what we do, instead of just rewriting it again, we can just pick the last period over here. Double click, we copy this part over here, power 3, power 3. Copy, then we insert it. We just place it here, Control V, like that. So it's going to be plus. So we open the brackets, that. So we've repeated just this part over here. So we've just repeated this part over here, this part over here, all over 1 plus R, power 3, power 3, power 3, power 3, like that. So for simplicity's sake, let me just do it like this. So the perpetuity will be that, and then I cut this part over here, cut. So this part over here represents just that part up to there. Then, if you allow me, I multiply that times 1 plus GL. So open the brackets, 1 plus plus GL, that value there, times 1 plus GL Oh, I've not put a plus over here, so it needs to be a formula. Plus 1 plus GL, now it's active, you can see. Growth rate in the long term, we close the bracket there. So we've just done the numerator of the perpetuity component. D naught, which is B20, times 1 plus GS, the previous period, power 3, times 1 plus B23. B23 is GL, 1 plus GL. So we press enter comfortably there, and it corrects for us. That's the numerator of the GL. Numerator. And then denominator of the perpetuity component, denominator there. So what we do, the denominator, 1 plus R plus 1 plus R. What is our R? 12%. Close the bracket. So I didn't open the brackets first, so I just open it there. Open it again. Power, shift 6. Power what? Power 3. Yes, because it's the last period. This n is power 3. And then what do we do? Times, we open the brackets. R minus GL. R times, open the brackets, R minus GL, 4%. Close the bracket. Let's confirm if everything is okay. 1 plus R, so it's 1 plus B21. B21 is R, yes. Multiplied by power 3, power 3. So you need to have put a bracket over there, like that. Then times B21, 12%, R minus GL. So if you're comfortable with that, we just press enter and it will give us that value. So perpetuity component, I can just keep one line there. Perpetuity, we're saying we have the numerator divided by the denominator. So plus the numerator divided by the denominator there. How much do we get? We get 12.31. Once we get 12.31 over here, so the high growth phase, perpetuity phase. So the V naught, our value, market value is given as plus the high growth phase plus the perpetuity component there. How much do we get? 15.21. And this can be bolded as our value right over there. We can even decide to change the color. So Alt H F C. Which color would we prefer? Should we prefer to put it, maybe say red? Let's put it red as our intrinsic value. And we press enter. That's it. So that's the market value, ladies and gentlemen, using the two-stage DDM. We first of all compute high growth phase value right over here, which we've done using the formula over here. And then we then compute the numerator and the denominator to avoid confusion. So these two over here, then down like that. You can press Control B, change the color, Alt H F C, put it a different color. We can use maybe say perhaps blue, like that. Enter. So that once you get the numerator, we divide by the numerator, we get the perpetuity component. which is that value there. So to get the market value right here, you can see is just, even in the formula bar right above over here, sorry, the formula bar right over here, you can see B27 plus B31. So you double click it, it gives us the high growth phase plus the perpetuity phase. We get the market value as 15.21. Hope you have enjoyed this lesson. Thank you for being with Manifested Publishers as we continue demystifying equity valuation models using Excel. I stop.